Hello, hello, and welcome to Oracle Hour. My name is Sabrina Rising. I'm a spiritual mentor and a psychic medium, and I'm honored to channel spirit on your behalf. I love being here every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific. I am so honored to have some new members here. I can see some new people joining us and some people, regular people joining us as well. Welcome, welcome. It's good to have you. We're streaming live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and YouTube, obviously, and Instagram. If you are on any one of those platforms and you're new and you're just watching for the first time and you have a question for the Oracle, please join us on YouTube at Sabrina Rising and put your question in the chat. Okay, so I have a moderator here who is going to manage all of the questions that come in. They'll be answered on a first come, first serve basis. I can see we have a lot of questions already, so I'm very excited to jump in. I'm going to talk a little bit about a subject that has sort of come through today as being a topic that I really feel people need to hear about. And it's something that I speak about often, but not necessarily in this context. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that we are live here on Instagram as well. I'm going to hit go live and see what happens. Instagram has not been working for us lately, but we'll see what happens here. Okay. Perfect. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to Oracle Hour. So as a spiritual mentor, my goal is to tune into your energy. If you put your question in the chat, I can feel the energy of your question. I can feel who I'm speaking to behind the veil of this platform. I don't need to see, touch, or feel you, or even hear the sound of your voice to be able to tune into the energy of your question, where it's coming from, or even if there are any messages from spirit on your behalf. If, however, you want a more direct reading, if you want to interact with me, if you want to go deeper, if you want to have more intimacy, more, I don't want to say more accuracy because the messages are always accurate, but more intimate connection with spirit with me, then I invite you to join me on screen. My moderator, Lorraine, has the link for you. If you want to come and join me live on screen, I can offer you a reading. I can offer you some coaching. We can interact on screen. As long as you're okay with being filmed, then that's the link to join. Please feel free to do it. We've been doing it the last couple of weeks, and it's been super fun to have people come on live and just have live conversations about whatever's going on in their lives and spirituality and how to overcome certain challenges. Okay, so please feel free to join me live. It's my honor to have you here. Okay, so in the meantime, what I really want to talk about tonight is overcoming fear. Okay, so this is such an important conversation because it's really the only conversation we're ever having. If you're a human being trying to figure out how to make your life better, easier, how to make more money, how to have better relationships, how to have better health, how to secure an environment for yourself, whether that's a job or a home, how to create safety in your relationships, or how to feel well, how to have inner peace in general, then the only thing we're ever really looking at transcending and ultimately accepting and dissolving, because it doesn't really exist on a soul level, is fear. Fear is a conditioned response to a perceived threat. So as human beings, we elect to incarnate into this body, into this 3D experience, and we agree to experience the contrast. And what I mean by contrast is fear is the opposite of what it means to be an expression of source consciousness. Imagine being, part of the spirit realm, part of universal intelligence, this infinite stream of consciousness that has no beginning and no end. And then from this stream of consciousness, in comes you, born into this humanity, born into this 3D reality. You're here to experience the contrast, which is fear. Fear means I'm separate, I'm abandoned, I'm alone, I need to prove myself, I need to constantly strive for my survival. This is the fear that we learn in early childhood, and everybody learns it, regardless of the environment you were raised in. Some of us were raised in, benign, benevolent environments, and some of us were raised in really, really horrific circumstances. Regardless of the conditions that your soul chose to be born into, you're going to experience fear at the level that you need to transcend it for your soul's particular evolutionary path, which is different for every single one of us. Okay. Every one of us has a unique karma, a unique dharma to live out, and unique karmic experiences to neutralize. And so this is really relevant. It's very personal to you. How fear will show up in your life is personal to you. How it gets conditioned into your subconscious mind, into your cellular memory is unique to you. But make no mistake, we all experience it. That's what we're here to experience. And this is what we're here to learn how to overcome, how to transcend, how to master so that we can be free, right? We can master the human experience by learning to understand when we are triggered, what the fear is pointing to, what all of our unresolved emotions are pointing to. I'll talk about that in a moment, and how to overcome them in the sense of how to choose love, or how to choose awareness, how to choose peace in each moment, so that we can master this human life. And that doesn't, mastering the human life doesn't mean accumulating things. It doesn't mean having things or being established or creating a life that looks successful by popular opinion or by some standard outside of you. Okay, some other external metrics. It really just means being able to master and be self-governing, the master of your emotions, the master of your thought process, sovereign in your way of operating. And that can look different for everybody. The definition of sovereignty for you is as unique as your conditioning process was in early childhood. Okay, we're all sort of snowflakes in that way. We each have our own unique blueprint for what it feels, for what it means for us to come out of fear and to step into self-realization. The only way we can come out of fear is by waking up to the essence of who we are, by having this awakening. An awakening can be so many different things. It can mean I'm waking up to the fact that I'm powerful, or I'm waking up to the fact that I can trust myself, or I'm waking up to the fact that, I'm connected to the spirit realm, right? I'm waking up to the fact that I have gifts that I can use, that I can share with the world. I'm waking up to the fact that I feel supported and provided for, that I have a relationship with universal intelligence. I'm waking up to the fact that I'm a powerful manifester. Whatever your awakening feels like, these are all sort of variations of the same wake-up call that we each get if we're doing the work on this human path to overcome fear. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, fear is a conditioned response to a perceived threat. I'm not speaking about primal fear. Primal fear is built in, the human apparatus. It's something that we need in order to survive. So primal fear is the part of you that wants to run out of the way when there's oncoming traffic, right? Or if you're in some kind of physical danger, that primal fear will help you survive and help you protect yourself. Okay, so this is natural and it's human and it's part of our experience. And this is not the fear that I'm speaking about. The fear that I'm talking about is the perceived fear, the fear that something bad will happen. The conditioned response to a perceived threat means that we were raised with this conditionality, which creates duality in our perception of things. So this contrast, what I'm talking about, is the dualistic experience, right? There's something, it has an opposite. As long as something has an opposite, I'm afraid of experiencing the opposite. Okay. And so the fear is perception of threat. So what if I lose my job? What if I get abandoned? What if I run out of money? What if I end up homeless? What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not talented? What if I'm not unsuccessful? This is the kind of fear that I'm talking about. And these beliefs that these potential threats could happen really shape our identity. They shape the choices that we make. They drive our behavior. They drive our impulses. It can be to be confrontational or to avoid conflict altogether. Okay, so fear creates this dualistic experience where we now are charged with the task of having to find out who we truly are underneath all of this fear. And we can only do that by examining our uncomfortable emotions. This is how you get in touch with what it is that you're really afraid of. When you have a reaction in any moment, when you are triggered, when you're upset, when you're sad, when you're lonely, when you're feeling, a tremendous amount of rage or whatever the trigger is, at the root of that trigger, there is something that you're afraid of. Okay, so it's really powerful and it can be very simple. This doesn't have to be complicated as you're watching live, or perhaps you want to pause later and watch the replay of this portion of the broadcast and really make a list of what is it that I'm really afraid of? What is it that I'm really afraid of? Am I afraid of looking bad, loss of reputation, loss of security, ultimately look around, check in with your safety, right? Like this is something that shows up a lot, especially in my readings and in my coaching programs. Like we fundamentally don't feel safe because perhaps we didn't feel safe in our environment as children, right? So we never really get grounded in that until we take personal responsibility to come out of fear. It doesn't matter what the context of the conversation is. We could be having a reading about your boyfriend or your job or your health or whatever the question or concern is. At the root of that question, there is always a fear that is presenting itself. The fear is, what if I get it wrong? What if this doesn't come through for me? What if this doesn't happen? What if I miss out? Whatever your fear is. Okay. So I really want us to go deeper in our readings tonight and really get in touch with what is it that I'm truly afraid of? Because the thing that you're afraid of is showing up in every area of your life, not just in one area. Okay. It's just, it takes on a different flavor or a different shape or a different manifestation, different iteration, depending on the area of your life that we're discussing. Okay. So, but it's still present. Okay. So if you have a fear in one area, you'll have it in every area. It's just a matter of really tuning into what that fear is. Okay. And it's normal to feel probably more confident in one area than it is to feel in others, but that doesn't mean the fear isn't still there. Okay. So I invite you to really check in with yourself and say, what is my ultimate fear? What is the thing that I'm truly most afraid of? And this will tell us exactly what your operating system is, what happened to you in your childhood, and what there is for you to transcend and move through. The way to come out of fear, this is the very simple technique that I always use and that I always teach to my students, is to engage in some breath work, to do some somatic release. Deep diaphragmatic breathing will help calm down the nervous system, ground you, put you in your body. Between the diaphragmatic breathing and the awareness and the positive self-talk and the willingness to experience the full range of your emotions, this practice will help shift your energy in the moment. And with continued practice, again, this isn't an instant fix, but with continued practice, it becomes an automatic part of who you are. You're able to self-regulate. You're able to move out of fear on a moment-to-moment basis. For deeper fears and deeper traumatic responses, perhaps you're someone who struggles with PTSD, you've been through something very intense, you need a guide. You need a guide to guide you into those traumatic, experiences, into those areas of you that you've perhaps disconnected from or disassociated from, so you can re-experience them, so you can release them and heal them for good. We can all heal. Every single one of us has the capacity to heal our deepest fears by developing a spiritual practice, by receiving help, by opening up our belief system, by learning to take responsibility for our physical, mental, and emotional well-being, by engaging in some breath work. All of these tools are really helpful. You do a combination of these, all of the above, again, with a regular practice, you'll be able to come out of fear and to step into self-realization. Okay. And it doesn't, for some of us, it happens, all of a sudden. And for some of us, it happens over time. But this awakening is available to all beings everywhere. That's why you're here. You're here to experience this awakening. You're actually here to come out of fear. And every single question that comes through tonight, for those of you that are here week after week, this is the only conversation we're ever having, is how do I stop being afraid of this? Right? What is the answer? What can you give me? What reassurance can you offer me that I don't need to be afraid anymore? Of course, I'm happy to channel this reassurance in very specific ways that are unique to you in your particular journey, on your particular path. And yet the message is always the same. It's really about, learning to love yourself, learning to raise your standards, learning to engage in active self-care, learning to develop a connection with spirit, whatever that connection looks like for you. It doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be, it can be anything that feels like it's bigger than you, more powerful than you. But make no mistake, when we open up our awareness and really connect with the power of universal intelligence and learn to receive those messages, learning to lean into our intuition and trust this, our inner knowing, so that we can become sovereign, we start to come out of fear. We start to feel more safe, more grounded, more rooted in the truth of who we are, more stable in ourselves. Nothing outside of you can give you the stability that you're looking for, or the safety that you're looking for, or even the love that you're looking for. So these are all things that must be sourced from within. We can't source them from within for as long as we participate in fear. Okay, so these two cannot exist in the same paradigm. It's okay to experience fear temporarily. This is normal, it's human. But as soon as it comes up for you, it's your job to acknowledge it, to become aware of it, and to move into self-responsibility so you can do the steps that I've talked about tonight, all of the myriad of tools that I've shared that you're free to ask about, and we can continue this conversation. I'm happy to respond to any questions you may have in the comment section. And then moving yourself out of fear so that you can feel at peace. This is available to all beings everywhere. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay, so thank you for participating in this conversation. I felt very inspired to share that with you tonight, especially after many talks that I've had throughout the day and just before coming on. So I hope this was helpful. And now let's jump into some live questions. I'm happy to channel spirit on your behalf and help you overcome whatever it is you might be afraid of. Okay. Good. Hi, Donna Marie. Good to see you here. Donna Marie says, hi, Sabrina. How are you doing tonight? I'm doing great. Walter would like to know if you see him landing the big job that's coming. He hasn't had his own job as a foreman in a while and wants to know if you see that happen. Okay. Walter. Okay. So okay, so we just talked about fear, right? So I want to point out that like I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety in Walter's energy field around like work and success and, not success necessarily, but safety, security, stability, which is these are the topics I really touched on in my intro. And so it would be really good for Walter to practice because I can make predictions and I will in a moment. I like to answer these questions in two ways. As you know, I'll give you the spiritual guidance and the psychic hit. It would be really good for Walter to practice just feeling like he's getting his needs met at work. So just what does that feel like? What does that look like? Visualize it. For him, the visual part is really important. If he sees himself getting the job and if he feels like he can get the job and he feels accessible, it feels accessible to him. It feels like it's, the natural next step. And this is something he can train his mind to do and really bring his, really adopt this embodiment practice, like practicing these feelings of like, oh yeah, I see myself being a foreman. What does it look like to be a foreman? What does it look like? What does a foreman do during the day? These are things that he can practice and visualize for himself that will help facilitate or accelerate the job process. Okay. So here's what my psychic hit on your question is that it feels like there's not a lot of opportunity in the immediate vicinity. So I do feel like there's a job for him. He has a hard time with this. Yeah. So I feel that. So this is the first step. Okay. So because otherwise and I say this with love and respect, everybody, readings are so empowering and they're meant to give us insight and information, access to information that we don't normally have, right? Especially when you speak to a psychic or a reader or a channel, you're hearing things that you hadn't thought of, or, possibilities are being created that you hadn't contemplated. But your personal responsibility in creating a life you love is to be able to really embody, envision, and claim for yourself what it is that you deeply desire and deeply want. So there's some inner work here for Walter. Like he's, I feel like he's negative. I say this with love and respect. I feel like he's negative. I feel like he's had evidence of not success that, have created some stories and some limiting beliefs for him. So he's got to come out of that. Okay. I feel like he has to be more positive and more open-minded about what can happen for him. Having said that, I do feel like this foreman opportunity is not in the immediate vicinity. It feels like he might have to travel or commute or go to another town, even somewhere close by, a town that's neighboring is what I'm trying to say. Not necessarily close by to where he's living, okay, to have this opportunity. So ask him to widen his net a little bit and tell him that he needs to apply outside of his sphere of what he knows. Also, it seems like, as far as work is concerned, it seems like there's a friend a friend who's working in another company or something like that that might give him information about a job coming up or an opening. It seems like there's a last minute opening. Feels like it also almost comes as a surprise. But again, this company feels like it's further out beyond his sphere. There is some movement here coming up for Walter that's going to require him to go outside of his comfort zone. Okay. And it's very poignant when you think about that as a metaphor. He has to go outside of his physical comfort zone to get the job. He has to actually get outside of his physical comfort zone to manifest the opportunity as well. Okay, so this is what I feel for Walter. Hopefully he's watching. Hi, Walter. And he's listening. Okay, good. So, and I say this with love and respect, do the work to step out of negativity, to step into the sort of positive mental framework, the positive belief system that this can happen for you. And then don't be afraid to go outside. I mean, there might be a part of you like, I'm not driving or I'm not going beyond my town or whatever, but it's actually better for you. If you do, it's better for you for the long term. And it's better income wise if you sort of venture out of your immediate vicinity. And don't be afraid to lean into your community, the people that you know. It feels like I said, it feels like there's a friend who works that you haven't talked to in a while or used to work with a long time ago, that type of vibe that you can connect with. And all of a sudden there's an opportunity that comes your way. Does his grandparents have a message for him? I don't, Dawn, I don't do mediumship on YouTube, on the spot mediumship, but I'm happy to invite him into a one-to-one session. You can put the link here, Lori, for Walter if he wants to come and do a mediumship session. If spirits are here, if your loved ones are here, if they happen to be here and I feel them, I will volunteer that information. Yeah, I don't, I'm really present to the work situation right now and the thing that I'm channeling for him. And I want to leave him with that. Okay. So thank you for stopping by, Walter and Donna. And I will leave you with that. Beautiful. Okay. Who's next? KCMR. KCMR says, hi, Sabrina. I'm really worried about my joy. How soon again before it returns without this constant sadness and depression? Okay. For a second, I had to read that twice because I thought you meant job. I'm worried about my joy. Okay. So let's channel here. Let's tune in and see what I have for you. Okay. So the first thing I want to say, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's some physical things going on. So this is beyond just mental and emotional. It feels like there's a lot of physical heaviness. And of course, there's always physical symptoms when we've been in a state of depression for a really long time. So your immune system is low, and that's because you're not expressing your emotions. Okay. So there's some basic things that I want to suggest for you that will help you release some of this pent up energy. Okay. The reason this has been going on for so long is because you're really isolated and you're really pent up, and it feels like you need to come out of, isolation. That's the first thing I want to say, is to come out of isolation and to talk to, it doesn't even feel like you have a lot of people around you accessible that you can talk to, but that you could find some resources. Even something like this, like being part of this community, is a great resource for you to just be able to come out of this funk that you've been in, and feeling listless and hopeless and, that kind of thing. Like you've been in this tunnel for so long that it feels like that's all that's available to you, and the only way out of depression is to bring in more energy. So it's important for you. The first thing I want to tell you to do, that you can do, that it feels accessible to you, is to go outside. Go in the sunshine, connect with nature. This is the easiest thing that anyone can do that feels really accessible, because it feels like there's some physical symptoms happening too, especially in the lower half of your body. I can feel like the legs, tingling sensation in the legs, and maybe even some numbing and so on. So, and of course, feel free to verify any of this information as I'm channeling for you. Okay. So I want you to really take responsibility for your physical health and start to go outside. Walking around would feel really, really helpful to you. It'll help start to create some positive endorphins in your body. And the other thing I want to say too is I don't I mean, it feels dark where you are, but I don't know if it's physically dark or if it's just a metaphor for the state of mind that you're in. But yeah, there's so much grief in your field. And so, I don't know if it's because you've just been alone for so long or if it's because you've lost something recently. But really being able to talk about it with someone that you care about, someone that you trust, it's actually a breakup. Okay, so this is the thing I'm feeling. So this is so important for you to be able to talk about your grief and talk about what you've been through and how to find your way. It's almost like you've lost a part of your identity, which is normal. It's normal when we break up with someone to feel like a part of us has been taken from us, because yourself as part of this relationship. And so just right now you're in a phase of trying to put yourself back together. Okay. It's been 3 months. Okay. So this is still raw. It's still fresh. I want to say that you made the right choice, even though I feels like you didn't fully choose. Okay. So I'm just going to say that, but I want you to know that this is for the best. Okay. It really is for the best. I feel like, I feel like there's been some sadness in this relationship for some time. I apologize for my dog here in the background. I feel like there's been some sadness and some unmet needs going on in this relationship for some time. So the fact that it's over, he has blocked me, no contact. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I really believe that this is for the best. I believe that you are so much better off without this person. And the ruminating thoughts, like you're kind of constantly asking yourself, like, why is this happening? What did I do? Was it my fault? Like that kind of thing. This is really, really bringing you down. Okay. So here's what I want to say to you. Okay. Casey, I'm just going to call you Casey. Your job right now is to really practice self-love and self-care, and to pick yourself up and to find people that you can connect with that are genuinely interested in your well-being, that care about you, that you can share about, your experience with, and start to heal. Okay. This person is like I said, you're better off out of this relationship, and you're better off really focusing in on raising your standard for love. I talk about this almost every week. Casey says, will he unblock me still because he owes me money as well? I wish I could say yes. This person lacks a lot of integrity. It's part of the reason why I think you're so much better off without him. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see, I don't know if he's going to unblock you, but I don't think you're going to see your money. Okay. I think that this is one of those things where you need to cut your losses and move on. And I feel like this person does this kind of thing. I don't know if he's addicted or he's got some kind of compulsive behavior that drives him to behave to act in this way. But he's bad news. Okay. He's in a lot of pain and he's not choosing to act with integrity. And that's unfortunately affecting you and your well-being. So the faster you unplug from this energy, the more you can take responsibility for your own well-being, for your own joy, and just really learn from this. Okay. You need to cut this off. You need to energetically cut this off and really focus on healing your heart, talking to people. You need to come out of isolation, go outside, go move your feet in the grass or stretch your legs out, especially because I can feel the lower half of your body kind of numbing out. And I think the numbing part is also symbolic of how you're trying to deal with your pain. Okay. So I would move on from this. This is, like I said, you've dodged a bullet here. I know it's painful, but this is actually a blessing. And really just take some time to really learn from this mistake, or learn from, this relationship choice. As I said, there's no mistakes. There's just learning and opportunities for growth and expansion. Okay. So, yeah, you deserve better than this. Okay. So I want you to really walk away from this person and not look back and just, set that permanent boundary. Don't expect him to unblock you. Stop trying to text him. Stop trying to reach out to him. Stop trying to have conversations with him. He's not, this isn't good for you. Okay. And I wish I had better news, but you asked me, so I'm giving you the truth with love and respect. Please heal, okay, and process your grief. If you'd love, I would love to go deeper with you as well, so I can help you really make sense of what happened here and why this happened and what your part was in co-creating this and how you can step out of this and feel empowered. I can give you more details. That's the link to book a reading with me. So go ahead and click on that link, and I'd be happy to hold space for you. Okay, Casey? In the meantime, I'm sending you all my love. Good. All right, good. Hi, Shiloh. Shiloh says, hi, Oracle community. I've been looking at apartments in that area as if everything is happening. What messages do my spirit guides have this evening as the new week approaches for me? Okay, good. I mean, everything is happening. Everything's happening in this area. I want to say, I know that you've been looking for work and this has been going on for some time now. So I want to say that you're like at the end of, feels like you're right at the end of this journey. There's like 1, 2 more doors to walk through. Feels like they actually feel like hallway doors. So office doors. I don't know if you've had a second interview or if you've been in a physical location, but there's one door and a second door to walk through and it feels like you're home actually. So I'll tell you the vision I'm getting as I'm channeling for you. There's like, it's an office with like, yeah, it looks like it's got a view of half the parking lot and half nature, like greenery and a hill and so on, kind of off to the side. It feels like it's kind of in the corner. And this feels like it's your spot, like you're finally here. And this is your, yeah, this is the home that you've created for yourself. And there's this new level of respect that you're commanding even in your work. Where should my energies go towards this week? The energy should go towards always focused on you getting your needs met. Always. This is always the case. Or your energy should always be focused on getting your needs met. This is true for you and for everybody who's watching. Like, do I feel spiritually connected? Do I feel emotionally healthy? Do I feel physically rested? Do I feel satiated? Do I feel at peace? Right? We talked about overcoming fear at the beginning of this broadcast, and this is very true for you as well, Shiloh. In your question, it's like, coming out of fear. This was also true for Casey, who we just channeled for, like the fear that you're unlovable or that you might not find love again, and all of that is keeping you stuck, right? So don't let fear keep you moving, doing. It's okay to relax. And you might, I know there's been a lot of movement, but it's okay to relax and just trust that you've done your part and that things are opening up for you. Okay. I want you to focus on getting your needs met this week. All right. You feel a bit depleted, a little tired. I know like I said, it feels like there's been a lot of movement. So really just focus on that and then come back and let us know how that unfolds for you. Okay, Shiloh, it's good to see you here. Good to see you here. Good. My dog is chewing my microphone. Alexa. Oh, we got somebody live with us. Beautiful. Hi. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Hi, is that better?
Yeah, better.
Okay, great. I had put my question in the chat, but I figured I would just do a live. So my Lionsgate was insane. I officially moved into my new place and I had 2 of the conversations all on the same day.
Yeah,
It
good.
was a
Did you
lot of
have the
energy.
conversations that we talked about the last time you were
Yeah.
here? Oh, good.
2 out of 3, but the one that you had referenced didn't feel as necessary. I thought about it and was like, nah, I don't really care to have that one either. So I did the 2 big ones.
Good.
And my curiosity, because it feels like it changed my perspective on a lot of things in hindsight, which is good, but I'm trying to figure out how I want to move forward. And I don't know if there's any guidance because it was a lot of change very quick, like very quickly. So
So
kind of
you want guidance on what specifically?
um anything moving forward. I think that specifically my relationship is like one area that I've had a lot of like what do I do with this, because those conversations were both with exes that I was like, oh, I see my pattern, I want to change my pattern.
Uh-huh.
So figuring out how to navigate that, and also um in being on my own again, I just feel like there's like a ton of space that I don't know what to do with, that I
Yeah.
wanted. I'm glad I have, but I
I'm
guidance.
first of all, I want to acknowledge you for like all the moves that you made. Like I remember doing a reading for you a while back and telling you like it's time for you to have your own space. It's time for you to move out. It's time for you to like create your own life and really develop personal sovereignty, like learning how to stand on your own 2 feet. And here you are, right? So like you've come a long way in a very short time. So I really want to acknowledge you for all the steps that you've taken
Thank you.
and everything that you've manifested so far. You're exactly where you need to be. The thing that I want you to watch out for, Alexa, which I really feel in your energy, especially tonight's very strong. It's like there's not a lot of capacity for stillness, right?
Mm,
Like as soon as there's a void, you want to fill it with something. It's kind of like as soon as there's like a little bit of peace or a little bit of quiet or a little bit of calm, I want you to learn how to enjoy that, right?
I don't
And
know how.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is
I
the
want to
thing.
know how, but I
This
don't
is
know
the
how.
message for you tonight is to learn how to be in stillness, like to learn how to relax and be. This is how we overcome fear, right? This is because
Mhm.
the fear, it propels us to keep going, 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 doing, moving forward, doing the thing, like trying to fill up our space and fill up our time. This is so prevalent in our society, right? If you look at how we're conditioned to like, do 100 things in a day and work, 100 hours a week. This is not conducive to human wellness. Okay. So I want you to learn how to relax, right? And really just trust. I've made all these big moves. You said my Lionsgate was intense, right? And so it was for
Yeah.
so many of us. I've made all these moves. I've manifested all this thing. Just land. It's important for you to take time to land in the space that you're in. Okay. And as far as your relationship go, if you take time to land, you actually get some creative hits. Is the other thing I want to say. You'll get some creative hits in terms of how to, like, what you're going to do for work. Some things are going to open up for you in your area. Feels like, the do you know what I'm talking about? It feels like there's like
Mhm.
some opportunities, right? That are like something different, something that you haven't done yet. Or, it feels like, same sort of hit for you, like kind of like a friend of a friend or someone that who knows that you're in town or that you're going to be there for a while. That kind of type of situation is opening up for you.
Mhm.
And I'll answer your question more specifically because you asked about your relationship. So let me ask you a question. What do you want out of your relationship?
Oh, I have no idea. Just I want a healthy relationship that
Yeah. So
helps bring out the best in me and
okay.
them as well.
Okay, so this is the work. So you want a healthy I have no idea is going to keep you trying a million different things and moving in a different directions, trying to figure out what a healthy relationship looks like. Okay, so
Mhm.
my advice to you is the same advice I gave to Shiloh. Put your energy towards figuring out how to get your needs met. What are your needs in the relationship? If the need is for space, for communication, for transparency, for honesty, for connection, for physical touch, for words of affirmation, whatever it is that you need out of the relationship, you need to be able to get clear on what that is, right? It's kind of like, it's like anything else that you would prepare for. You have to figure out what the ingredients are before you can create something wonderful, right? And so it's the same with a relationship. Figure out what your needs are and then have your conversation with your partner to see if he's willing to help you get some of those needs met. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And
Easier said than done.
well, yeah, but it is easy. The only thing that's in the way of you being able to have a transparent conversation about whether or not you can get your needs met in this relationship is your fear of being rejected. The fear that he
Mhm.
might say no, the fear that he might, which I get. I mean, this is valid, right? It's very
Yeah.
valid, but it's better to know than to pretend, hope for the best and then, end up in a relationship that's not meeting your needs. Does that make sense? This is how we
Mhm.
take 100% responsibility for the Lionsgate was all about empowerment, right? Empowerment and expanding our capacity to become the version of ourselves that can hold the vision of our dreams, right? What it is that we really want. Okay. It's not just about getting the thing, but it's about being able to have the thing and hold the thing in your life, to hold that frequency in your life. And so your capacity to expand your own, or your willingness to expand your own capacity rather, is what's on the line here. Okay. So am I willing to have the hard conversation with my partner, because it's not about having a partner. It's about, can you be in a partnership that holds, or has the space, or can hold all of you, everything about you, right? The full transparency. Does that make sense? And I want you to, there's a party that doesn't want to test this relationship for that. And I think you need to, right? And I want to say too about your relationship. Is this person younger than you?
Yeah, significantly.
Oh, yeah. So I feel that, okay?
Yeah.
And that's a concern, right? It brings up a lot of fear. It brings up a lot of anxiety. It brings up a lot of
Mhm.
trepidation about, is this viable? Can we move forward together? Can we have a future? Like, there's a lot of issues around this. These issues are not resolvable. Okay. And I say this again with love and respect. I know you have a good partnership. I know he's a sweet guy. I know I can feel that you care about him, but I feel like the age is going to be an issue down the road. The age difference is going to be an issue. Okay. So this is something that you need to have a conscious, transparent conversation with him about right now. Okay. Like right now, if you already know, for example, you want children, or if you already know that you want, a certain type of life, right? A certain type of relationship with him, you should put that out on the line now. Okay. That makes sense?
It does. May I speak on that? I don't want to take up too much time, but I do have
No,
a
it's
question
okay.
on
Yeah, we'll
that.
move on. We'll take one more question. We'll move on.
I feel like we have had the conversation, and I feel like I like the idea of having kids, and I didn't when I was younger. I didn't not want them, but I was kind of just like in between. And the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, I can feel myself sort of moving towards that. And
Mhm.
I believe, and I think he means it, that he does too. I think the concern that we've had is he going to be able to be ready when I am? And because I'm not ready, I have no way to like fully know that, and neither does he. So it's kind of this like, well, we can try, but like there's still a huge question mark.
Yeah.
And
Until
yeah.
you know 100% what your needs are in a relationship, you're not going to feel safe in it. You're not going to feel grounded in any relationship, whether it's this one or the next one or whoever.
Mhm.
It's not about this guy
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
It's about you second guessing yourself. This is your pattern, by the way. The
I
pattern
know.
is doubt. That's what I feel, right? Like the
Yeah.
pattern is you're doubting, you're should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? This oscillation that you do is a direct result of your disconnection from source, which you can change at any moment. You can develop your own spiritual practice. You can connect your own intuition to your own higher self. You can learn to channel universal intelligence. You can lean into your own intuitive guidance and trust your body and get clear on what it is that you really need, right? And this is about overcoming fear. What if I miss out? What if I make the wrong choice? What if I land in the wrong place? This is, there's no power in that. Okay. So
Mhm.
you need to get clear on what it is that you want and need without negotiating with yourself. Don't negotiate with yourself, like, hey, I don't 1,000% know if I want kids, but I want to leave it open. Right.
Yeah.
That's a good position to be in, right? That's a good place to come from, is to have that sorry, Lori is joining us. Is to have that, as a possibility, right? Not
Yeah.
to rule it out. Does that make sense? You need to
No,
do
I
the work
agree.
to get clear. Don't You're looking at this as like, what can I get from this relationship, or what can I ask for, or what's acceptable, or what will this relationship allow, versus, what are my needs? What are
Mhm.
my actual needs? What do I actually want? Where do I want to be met? That's the place you need to come from. Okay. And then whether it's him or someone else, we'll meet you there.
Okay.
Got it?
Makes sense. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Alexa. Thank you for joining us live. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Okay. Lorraine, Okay. Hi, Patty. Nice to see you. Let me 1 second here. All right, I'll be right with you. I'm just. Patty says, I was approached by a former employer about a part-time job that would add 20 hours weekly to my 40-hour week. Also feeling discouraged on my full-time job. May I request guidance for both, please? Okay. I mean, I would not advocate for you working 60 hours a week. So adding 20 to your already 40-hour a week um, uh, engagement feels like too much for your nervous system. Okay. So, okay. So here's what I want to say. And this might be a bit, I want you to feel into this, okay? I actually feel like this 40-hour a week job, I don't know what you're doing, okay? I don't know what this job is, but it feels like there's just no room here. Like there's no room for growth or expansion. There's not a lot of joy. You're not really emotionally connected to it. It's not inspiring you. There isn't really a capacity for growth here, okay? And you're kind of in this job, but always looking over the horizon, wondering what else is there? What else is there? Is there something better? Is there something better? Which is part of the reason why you manifested this other opportunity. This 20-hour week part-time job, believe it or not, I know it's less hours, but I actually feel like it's something that is more in alignment with who you are. It brings you more joy. It's more comfortable. Perhaps it's something you know. I actually feel like if you took the 20-hour job, the 20-hour a week job, there would be more room for expansion. That could turn into a more full-time opportunity, or it could turn into something that really is a stepping stone towards what you really desire. Okay. Now, again, in all of this predictions, I really want you to check in with yourself and ask yourself, like, what are my needs? Okay. How do I want to feel in my job? What is it that I really want to do? What is it that really brings me joy? How do I want to express myself? Again, don't make decisions based on, this idea of scarcity or, oh, but this makes me more money, so I'll stay in the thing that I don't really enjoy. Okay. This is how people get stuck in jobs that they don't, that don't bring them joy, and they don't find happiness and fulfillment. Patty says, I work in cancer research, but I really enjoyed the part-time job before. Okay, so this is what I'm reading. Exactly the energy that's coming through for you is spot on. The part-time job is more aligned with you. It's more comfortable. It brings you more joy. You feel more emotionally connected to it. So I would, if it's possible, I know, of course, I don't want to, tell you exactly what to do. I want you to consider these directives, if it's possible, to let go of the 40-hour week job, to move into the 20-hour a week role, and with this understanding that it will grow. I feel like there's more possibility there. It will expand for you. Again, it's about you really connecting to the thing that brings you joy. Okay. And trusting that. All right. Really trusting that. I don't want you to be stuck in this other job. You're not enjoying it. So you got to make that move. And what happens when we're in jobs that we don't love is, if we don't leave, we end up either getting fired, or or laid off, or something happens, or we get pushed out. The universe has a way of pushing us out of things that don't resonate, that don't align with our true nature. Okay. This is the benevolence of the universe. Okay. So it hears you. And as long as you're willing to let it do its work in your life, as long as you're not blocking it, you're going to end up exactly where you're supposed to be, which is this other part-time job is sort of a sign saying, hey, there's something else over here that you enjoy better. So I would take that job. That's the guidance I have for you. Okay, Patty? I hope that's helpful. Thanks for showing up live. Beautiful. Okay. RM Bells. Hi, RM Bells. I'm feeling very alone these days. I have been trying to shed some old friendships I felt weren't appreciating. I was wondering if you had any insights into this. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know who this crowd is that you have been hanging around with. It feels like there's this group of people that, yeah, I want to say a lot of these relationships don't feel healthy. Either they're like friends that you party with or friends that you had, that type of sort of connection with. Like it feels like a good time, but not like an in-depth connection with these friends. Okay. And so I want to say that you're changing your need for depth, and again that word is coming through for you. So the need for depth and the need for meaning is becoming more prevalent in your heart and in your awareness. And so these relationships feel frivolous, they feel superficial, they feel like almost a little bit like they're taking advantage, or they're just around for like the fun or the outing or the opportunity to travel or whatever. It's more, these are feel more like fringe relationships. And so here's what I want to give you. I want to give you an affirmation that says, I am creating deep and meaningful relationships with like-minded people. Okay. So deep and meaningful relationships with like-minded people. This is the energy I want you to hold. And it's a standard I want you to have for yourself, because this will push out relationships that are in your life that don't feel like they resonate. And it will invite ones that do. Okay. But there's something, I feel like there's something that you're inviting in as well. So you have to raise your own standard of living and operating and choosing and what you allow into your life. There's something in the way that you even treat yourself, the way you treat yourself, the way you honor yourself, that can improve, so that you're raising your standard for self-care, and that will raise your standard for relationships. Okay. I feel like, yeah, I feel like if you're yeah, there's also, like, I want to say too, like if you're taking the steps to seek out other situations or other environments, or I almost want to tell you to, like, um find a hobby or a different activity that really inspires you, something you've been thinking about for some time. This will help open up the space for you and help you get connected to some healthier relationships. Okay. There's something in your daily habits that you do that needs to go, that will help sort of disconnect you from this old energy. Okay. We need to sort of purge these old relationships and move you into something that feels more like an upgrade, like a total life upgrade. Okay. So, and the other thing I want to say to you is, this tendency you have to overgive and overextend and overdo also is connected to the same energy, the same self-worth energy. Okay. So by improving your self-worth, by doing the inner work to really love yourself and fill your own cup, you're noticing very clearly how limited these relationships are, how non-reciprocal they are, which is really what's going on here. There's a lack of reciprocity. And it's not because they don't care. It's really just because they can't meet you there. Okay. They're in their own sort of self-centered way of operating. Okay. So I want you to really set some boundaries. It's okay to be alone for a little while, but you don't have to be lonely. Okay. So being alone means that you're reinventing your environment. You're, taking the steps to make new friends, to get out of your usual way of operating. It's okay to be alone during this period of time. Oh, but loneliness means I'm disconnected from my source, from love, from my connection to universal intelligence, from my spirituality. Okay. So you need to develop that and put yourself on that, in that trajectory with people that are like that, deep and meaningful relationships with like-minded people. And that's going to help fill your cup. Okay. So this is the insight I have for you. There is something that you're doing that I want you to really take responsibility for. Like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to stop this, and I'm really going to set a new standard for myself. And that means that I'm going to block out these people. This will help you set those boundaries and not participate in these type of relationships anymore. Okay. That's my insight for you, RM. I'm happy to channel spirit on your behalf. I hope that was helpful. Okay, good. Hi, Anna. Good to see you here, my dear. Anna says, my sister is very sick and in a verbally abusive relationship. Her husband has divided her from our family. How can I help her find her voice and reach her? Okay. Okay, so this is, first of all, I'm so sorry that you're going through this and that your family's going through this, because when one person is when one family member is making unhealthy choices, it affects the entire family system. And so I can feel obviously how much you care and how deeply invested you are in her well-being. Here's the tricky part about what's going on, is that all you can do is talk about how this is affecting you, okay, and how this is affecting your family. If you bring her attention to what it's doing to her, she will likely resist you. And this is what I'm feeling. She's not listening to the sort of she won't take responsibility for her choices right now. Okay. So, but what you can do is talk about your relationship and how important your relationship is, and how this isn't meeting your need for safety for her. Like, you have a need for her to feel safe. You have a need for her to feel, you know, taken care of and looked after and respected and honored in a relationship. You have those needs, and you're really concerned that this relationship choice is not meeting those needs, and that you feel like you would love to support her, right? And so this, all you can do is offer support in a, I want to say, in a nonviolent way, like this, using compassionate communication tools, because otherwise, like, she's so far into this, like, she's really yeah, and they're married. I'm just rereading your question. So this is difficult, because I feel like she's so entrenched in it. Like, this is such an identity for her, and she's so deeply loyal to this person. And this is not unusual. When someone spends a long time in an abusive relationship, verbally abusive relationship, you start to lose your identity, and you start to become accustomed to this way of being treated. And it can be very sad for the person, because, like, she's kind of like, it feels like she's like a shell of herself, or like not the same person that or that you remember. And when you say he's divided her from our family, I feel like even though he's verbally abusive, she defends him. Okay. And this is very typical of this type of situation. Okay. So the way to reach her, again, is through just nonviolent communication. Like, I can see that you're hurting. I really struggle with the way you're being spoken to. I feel very concerned about how you're being treated. And I want to say that, I have a really deep need for your safety. We are concerned about your estrangement from our family. Like, the needs that you have and the feelings that you have about what you see unfolding, this is how you hold space for it. Okay. I feel like she's still there. So we haven't fully lost sister. She's still there. There's a part of her that wants to say something. Like, she knows in her soul that something's off, right? Even though she's so entrenched in this relationship. So I want, the best thing you can do is offer, as I mentioned, just holding space in a nonviolent way. She's not going to feel as safe talking to you, because she doesn't feel like she can divulge certain things. She feels like she has to stay loyal to her husband, and so on. But as far as, like, really reaching her and helping her find her voice, like, you can send her, resources, like things that she can read, or things that she can watch, or, even just like, things that she can, like, look up in her own, in her own time. The most important thing is for you to come across as just really non-judgmental and accepting of her choices. Like, hey, if this is what you want and this is what you're choosing, like, I'll support you. I see you hurting, and I see you, like, you're in a dysfunctional situation, and I'm concerned for your well-being, right? So this is very important for her. This is one of those things where this is what she's choosing, right? So she's got to come to this on her own. And I know, I wish I had, like, an easier solution for you, but this is something that she has to really want for herself. Okay. And it feels like, and Anna, you can validate this if it's possible. It feels like there are kids involved. So this makes it even more difficult. Okay. So even just creating that context and saying, hey, like, sort of mentioning what it's like, talking about generational trauma and how that gets passed on from mom. Yes, my nephew is 4.5 years old. Okay. So, yeah, I feel for the nephew. I really do, because he's kind of in it and he's feeling all the volatility at home, and the mom sort of, caving in on herself, so, and also the estrangement from the family is not good for the child. Okay. So even just creating the context around generational trauma and how this gets passed down. He is very angry and showing violence at a young age. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I like goosebumps as we're talking about this. So, this is the volatility that he's picking up, and he's learning this from his dad. This is parents' model behavior, whether we're suppressing our emotions or lashing out. The nephew is really picking up on this. Okay. So it's very important that you reach out to her and even talk to her about how this is affecting her son. Like, you're dealing with a lot of denial. So this isn't going to be easy. So you have to be really grounded and rooted in unconditional love. And like, I can help you. Like, if you let me in, I can support you. We'll do this together. We'll, let me find you some resources. Like, she needs resources and she needs education. There's really a lack of education on her part, as far as like how this is affecting her, because she's been in it for so long that it's become a part of her identity. Okay. So I want to recommend NVC, Nonviolent Communication. So this is a book you can purchase that has all of the tools in there that'll teach you nonviolent communication. Like, hey, when I hear him talking to you in this way, I feel really scared because I have a need for your safety. And, I would like to support you in feeling safe in your relationship. Would you allow me to do that? Can I support you? Is there anything you need? Those kind of things. Okay. To sort of keep reaching out to her. I feel like everyone's walking on eggshells and doesn't know how to talk to sister because of the situation she's in. And, it's like, you don't want to lose her out completely, but you have to take this position. And Anna, you're the one in your family to do this. Okay. You are the one. I want to say you're the one who's going to do this. No one else can really reach her. And I think you already know that. Okay. So it's important for you to be able to have this conversation with her. And also to, I would also, volunteer to take care of your nephew. Like, hey, I'll pick him up one day, or he needs something else to be modeled for him, and he needs an outlet, okay, for his anger and for his acting out, because it's only going to get worse for him. This is, of course, something I would recommend for all children that are in a difficult situation, but even just drawing with him, like sitting down with him and doing some drawings and letting him draw out his feelings, and that's going to be very, very helpful for him. And if you could take the drawings and show them to his mom, that would be like, this is what I'm getting, would be a really good sort of visual aid for her to realize, like, oh, like, I need to do something. Okay. I need to do something here because we're struggling. It's going to take something to do with her son for her to really sort of wake up and realize, like, oh, there is, this has to stop. Does that make sense? So these are just some tips. And of course, I'm happy to share more with you, Anna. But these are just some tips I want to give you for now that would be very, very helpful. I feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I don't want you to get discouraged, okay? Because there is a way that this will come to an end. I feel like this, I want to just give you my psychic prediction. I don't feel like this marriage is going to make it. And I don't think it can get under these circumstances. Okay. She actually needs to pull away from him in order to find herself again, and to be what she needs to be for her son. Okay. So, and if the marriage dissolves, it's going to be for the best, because dad has, or the husband has, really no, I feel like he's really far away from being self-aware around his behavior and taking personal responsibility for it. Like, he's got some really, really, really deep issues that require a lot of therapy and a lot of inner work. Okay. So this is a long road for him. In the meantime, it's kind of triage for your sister and the nephew. Okay. But we can talk more. Anna says, thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to leave you with that. think about the NVC, think about how to communicate with her in a nonviolent way, just supporting her and, creating that opening, non-judgmental opening. You're the only one who can do it. You're the only person she really will lean into. And also taking time with your nephew, if possible, if at all possible, just you and nephew, like away from his environment, bring him into another environment. Okay, I'll leave you with that for now, and we'll connect further on that. Okay, Anna. Good. All right, beautiful. Who is next? Oh, 604. My goodness. Okay, you know what? Well, let's just take one more question. Let's take Rhonda's question because she's here. Is she still here? Or she's gone. All right, we lost Rhonda. Okay, everybody. Oh, there you are. Thank you for graciously sharing your gifts and assisting us with your guidance and support. Thank you so much, Rhonda. I appreciate you being here. Okay, everybody. I have no idea where the hour went. Thank you so much for being here with me live. Thank you for Alexa who came on screen with us tonight. That was so much fun. I hope it was helpful for you. And for everybody who got messages tonight, I hope they were helpful and you received the guidance. And guidance is always good, but it's important to integrate the guidance and take the necessary actions. Okay, so energy shifts when we move with it. All right, so receive and then take the steps to really integrate, feel into what you've got, really hear the truth and how that lands in your body, and then take the aligned actions that will help you develop the outcome it is that you deeply desire, help you create a life that you love. We all have personal responsibility in that. Okay. So thank you again for joining me live. I will see you all on Wednesday. Before I go, if you want to book a reading with me, if you want to do a deeper dive, there's the link to book. You can book an intuitive life guidance or mediumship connection, or the soul regression package, which is a 2-part session. You can book that there. And if you like, you can join my channel and be part of my monthly psychic gallery events. There's the link to join my channel. We do monthly psychic gallery, monthly mediumship events, and we also do special guided meditations and exclusive content for members only. Okay, so that's all available if you join the channel. That's there for you. I would love to see you all in a reading or as part of the membership. And if not, I will see you all again on Wednesday. Bell says, thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome so much. Thank you for being here, and good night.